Hi everyone, it's Chaitni, your wellness coach. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. In this week's video, I'm going to share with you 4 ways that can help you be a better listener. So, listening is one of those skills that you have to actively develop. And it's so highly underrated until you encounter someone who's a poor listener. That's when you really start to value it. And listening, just like everything else that's good in life, takes time. So it's all about the effort that you put into it, it's about your patience, and it's really about conscious practice. So you have to really treat it as a muscle that you need to flex if you want it to work well for you. So, with listening, I'm going to share with you 4 B's of listening. They're easy to remember, they're easy to implement, but really profound and can have a big impact on how good of a listener you are. So, keep something in mind that when it comes to listening, we can all take something from this. None of us are the best listeners out there. We can all work on ourselves. So, there is going to be something that you can get out of this video. If nothing else, it could be a brand new tip or it could be a reminder. And there's nothing wrong with reminders. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first tip or the first way is be silent. And what I mean by that is, let's stop interrupting, let's stop interjecting, and let's stop making everything about ourselves. So when somebody else is talking, let them speak. There's so many times I'll see people talk over other people or just interrupt them without even realizing that they're doing it. So that's what I mean by be silent. Let the other person say what they need to say. You'll have your turn, and that's when you can share your 2 cents. The other thing about listening is listen to understand instead of responding. So, a lot of times when somebody is talking, we are already framing our responses in our head. That is not active listening. That does not help us fully comprehend what the other person is trying to say. So when the other person is talking, just listen. Whatever your response is, it'll come to you when you need to speak. So that's really tip number 1. And then tip number 2 is be honest. So we all have people, that like to vent, that like to really suck the energy out of us by complaining and whining about things that they don't want to change or they can't change. So we all have people like that in our lives. And you know what? Sometimes you're just not in the mood to deal with that. It feels really draining, it feels really futile, and you don't have the energy for it. And that's okay. It's totally acceptable in those instances to let the other person know really politely and nicely that, look, I appreciate you coming to me, but today is not the day. I really need this time to myself. I don't have the bandwidth to really listen to what you have to say. And I'm really sorry about that. And that's okay. You can do that. It's called setting boundaries. When you outright say this, it might come as a shock to the other person. But when you deliver this message really kindly and sweetly, but powerfully, they're going to understand, and if that point they're offended, they're offended. But more than likely, they're going to be really understanding of what you're saying. Now, on the flip side, being honest is also about giving honest advice. So if someone comes to you, whether it's a stranger, a loved one, a friend, an acquaintance, and they ask you for advice, be honest about it. Be genuine about it. This is not the time to sugarcoat what you want to say. You don't need to be brutal. You don't need to be nasty. You can, again, deliver your message kindly and powerfully and still drive home the point. So don't do the other person a disservice by sugarcoating what you're about to say. Be direct, be honest, and say it in a manner that's still going to be respectful. Now, tip number 3 is be present. So, what this means is set aside your phone, turn off the television, stop looking at your smartwatch when somebody else is talking. It's really disrespectful. It's just not nice. Be present, be in the moment. When that other person is talking to you, listen to them, even if that other person is your parent, your spouse, or your child. The scrolling on the Instagram, it can wait, or TikTok, that can wait. Responding to messages can also wait. Just doing whatever you're doing on your phone, all of that can wait. Constantly checking your watch for whenever a message pops up or a reminder pops up. Again, that doesn't need to happen. And this is even more important when you're having a profound discussion, when it's a conversation with a significant other, or you're in the doctor's office and the doctor is sharing some news with you. Anything of that sort, there's all the more reason for you to be present and for you to really understand what is being said to you. But if you're busy on your phone or on your smartwatch, that's not going to happen. We've spent way too much time making these gadgets a priority and not really prioritizing the people in front of us and listening to what they have to say. So be present. And then tip number 4 is really simple. It's be trustworthy. So when somebody shares something confidential with you or asks you specifically not to share what they've shared with you with other people, then do so with integrity. It is not okay for somebody to say, hey, please keep this a secret, or please don't share this with anybody else. And then for you to turn around and tell it to 10 other people, or even tell it to one other person. If you are not able to keep a conversation confidential, that's all right. The best thing to do is to just let the other person know upfront. And for whatever reason, it could be for their benefit, or it's just not the right thing to do. Whatever your reasoning, it's best to let them know in advance, or let them know while the conversation is happening that, hey, this is something that my wife really needs to know, or this is something that I will share with my children, or this is something that I really need to inform our manager about. Whether it's at work or at home or wherever these conversations are happening. That is okay. But again, it's not okay to say something like, your secret is safe with me, or yeah, this is totally confidential, I'm not going to tell anybody about it. And then the next thing you know, whatever was shared with you has spread like wildfire. You would not want to be treated that way. You would not want your secrets to be exposed that way. So it's best not to do that to somebody else. So be trustworthy. So just to wrap it up, 4 tips that I shared with you. Be silent, be honest, be present, and be trustworthy. I say this often, it really is a privilege to hear somebody's story. When they share something with you, it's an honor. Your phone is always there, the TV is always there, whatever you're streaming is always there. But that person who's talking to you may not always be there. And to give them the time of day, it's the most precious gift that you could give somebody else. So appreciate that, really treat it as a privilege when somebody shares their story with you. I hope you got something out of this. As I said, these are tips, and these are for some people just reminders. So take what you needed to take out of today's video. And remember, a good set of ears are way more profound than a wagging tongue. Really, there's a reason why we were given a set of ears and just one tongue. So use your ears wisely. And with that said, if you want to learn more about what I do and how I help my clients with their wellness goals, please check out my website. It's www.imperfectbodies.com. In the meanwhile, I hope you have a fabulous week, and I will catch you here next week. Thank you so much for stopping by.